Have you ever wanted to look into retro games but aren't sure where to begin? Do you ever wonder which classic games stand the test of time and which ones don't hold up? These are some questions that have been bothering me for a while now, and I think it's about time to do something about it. So I'm going through gaming's history one game at a time to try to find the best games of all time. Welcome to the Gaming Archaeologist. Mega Man 2 was my favorite game for the NES, and the Mega Man games in general were a pretty good snapshot of what the NES era was all about. Still, Super Mario World and A Link to the Past both impressed me and showed me what the SNES library is capable of, above and beyond what the NES was capable of. So how does Mega Man X compare? In many respects, it's a welcome update of the Mega Man formula. After 6 games, the series was getting a bit stale, and Mega Man X does a fair bit to inject new life into the franchise. The graphics are really nice and colorful, and the gameplay retains the core of what makes Mega Man fun while adding its own new spins on it. The level design is really good, and each of the boss fights is unique and memorable. The music is also really excellent. Just listen to some of these tracks. Wait a minute, I don't think that last one was from Mega Man X. So in many respects, Mega Man X is a worthy successor to the original Mega Man games. Unfortunately, it doesn't do enough to differentiate itself, and ends up retaining a lot of baggage from the NES days that drag the whole experience down. The biggest problem is the live system and how stingy the game is with checkpoints. There's nothing inherently wrong with any of the levels or challenges, but sending the player back a ridiculous amount every time they make one too many mistakes, and forcing them to take the entire level again from the top after dying an arbitrary amount of times, is not testing the player's skill, it's testing the player's patience. The boss fights, while hard, are fair overall, but making the player do the whole level again just to have another shot at the boss fight is anything but fair. It just serves to make the game longer rather than better. The game also starts you off with significantly less health than in the older games, which seems a little odd, but could work. So, how do you get more health? Do you get more health every time you beat a boss? Nope. You get more health by finding secret items hidden within each level. Yeah, gaining more health, something that you need to do in order to have a fighting chance, requires you to hunt through each level looking for something that should only be an optional side thing. There's also little things like the fact that there's no real story. It looks like there will be at first with the opening stage, but the game doesn't really do much with the narrative beyond that. It's pretty much just, bad guy is bad and you have to stop him. The bosses don't have much personality, and there's no real reason to get invested in the conflict that's going on. Instead, like in the older game, most of the actually interesting story and lore is outside of the actual game. And I think that's what I find most disappointing about Mega Man X. The older Mega Man games had their various problems: minimal story, short length, live system, sometimes unfair level design. But they actually had a reason for it, namely the limitations of the technology. There's only so much you could squeeze into an NES cartridge, and so games were designed, both intentionally and unintentionally, to last longer while retaining a certain simplicity about them. There was only so much they could do, but they still tried as hard as they could to work with their limitations. But Mega Man X doesn't have that excuse. It had some updated visuals, a few tweaks to the gameplay, but beyond that was content to just repeat the same formula as before, just with a new coat of paint, and retain a lot of the archaic baggage that it should have let go of. And after the bold, fresh, pioneering experiences I got in Super Mario World and A Link to the Past, it was really underwhelming by comparison. So, does it hold up? I'd have to say kind of. While I've been rather harsh on this game, I still did have some fun with it, and I just wish it was better than it is. It's okay, but it does have quite a few shortcomings. If you liked the NES Mega Man games, you'll probably like this okay. But if you don't, you're probably better off skipping it. My final score for Mega Man X is a 6 out of 10. I went back and forth on whether to give this game a 6 or 7, but in the end, the stuff that annoyed me really did compromise the experience, hence why I went with the lower score. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it's nothing great either. So what do you think? Are there any SNES games you'd like me to review? Whatever your thoughts, be sure to let me know in the comments below. The next game I'll be taking a look at is Super Metroid. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.